Hello, all of you beautiful people. How are you doing today? Oh, I just kicked the table. I'm sitting outside. Every day cleaning and cleaning for this house selling is crazy. Everybody's always hearing about my house selling. It seems like every video I have, there's something about house selling. Because ever since I started making YouTube videos, I've been selling a house and moving and moving and moving and going crazy. So anyway, people keep on asking me questions about my life and why am I moving so much and what is my husband in the Marines or in the army or something like that. No, he's not. Okay, my husband is an electronics engineer, for those of you who don't know. And but before I tell you, I'm going to tell you, I've never actually planned on making these videos, but I keep on getting questions because people, I guess, are interested in my very strange life. So what I did was I went to my YouTube channel, and I didn't want to open another YouTube channel because I'm still struggling to get the YouTube channel open for to separate my fitness and my makeup videos, and which has not happened yet. I don't know when that's going to happen. So what I'm going to do is I opened another playlist on my YouTube channel, and it's called The Other Aspects of My Life, Get to Know Me Better. Okay, so just for private questions that has nothing to do with basically fitness and dieting, what the channel is all about, makeup and beauty, and stuff like that. Okay, so I'll put it, and I'll always put these like videos, private videos, private, such a strange word, of my private life, and I'll put it in that playlist. Not everybody's going to be interested in those, but I actually do get questions, so here goes. The first thing that people always ask me is about the moving and me and Johan and how we got to know each other. So I'll start this in kind of phases and start in the beginning and work my way up, okay? So how did Johan and I get to know each other? We actually met when I was 9. So I've known Johan since I was 9, okay? We lived in Pretoria, South Africa, in a place called Verwoerdburg, which is now Centurion, and I think it's changed again since, I think Mandela has changed all the names to tribal names, so I don't know what it's called now, but that's where we used to live. I was adopted when I was 3 years old into this wonderful family, actually me and my sister, who's 10 years older than me. And all my adopted mother's children were also 10 years and older than me. So I was kind of like the accident. Very cool accident, isn't it? Anyway, so Johan, I lived there. I was adopted when I was 3, and I lived in the same house forever. And then Johan and his sister and his mom and dad moved into our street, like literally across the road from us, one door down. Okay, so at that point in time, when they moved there, his niece stayed with them, and she was a little bit younger than him, and she was on the same school bus that I took. So we used to walk to the school bus in the morning, took the same bus, and over time she just kind of took me under her wing so that people wouldn't bully me and be mean to me, although I didn't get much of that. I was kind of not, I didn't tolerate much of that. So anyways, they had a swimming pool, and at that point we didn't have a swimming pool. Now, we did get a swimming pool later, but we didn't have one, and you know kids love swimming. I couldn't swim because we never had a pool. So she always used to invite me over to their house after school, and I would go over there, and she taught me to swim. So, of course, me being addicted, I would sneak every second chance I get over to their house. And his mother was a homemaker, okay? But she was a homemaker of a different kind than me, okay? She was the Martha Stewart homemaker, the type of lady that did her gardening, and her gardens were beautiful, and they would, you know, she would decorate like crazy, and she would, I mean, man, when that lady cooked you a meal, the stuff, like you would get your plate and your 6 knives and your 6 forks, and she would put a dessert in front of you that was like yay high. It would look like a damn tree, and you didn't know, you know, which part of the dessert you're supposed to eat and which part not, okay? I didn't grow up like that. My parents were just different. I can tell you about my parents if you want, in the way I grew up. But anyway, so I always used to go over to Johan's mom's house, and she was, as I say, the Martha Stewart lady. She would cook, and she would bake, and she would do everything. And of course, I never had the opportunity to really bake cookies or do anything in my house. And of course, the dogs have an opinion on the process too. So I would always go over to his house. I would either swim there, I would bake cookies with his mom, and if I baked cookies, she would always give me a tin of cookies to take home, you know, and stuff like that. And of course, Johan is 6 years older than me. So when I was 9, he was, 15? Okay. So, of course, I irritated the crap out of him. He was always irritated when he came home from school, and there I was again. He was literally like there's a snot nose in this house again. He just got really irritated because he wanted to get home and, you know, have, well, I don't know what the hell he wanted to do. What do kids do at age 16? Go sleep. And then I would be outside in their pool jumping and screaming and going crazy with his niece, right? So I just irritated the heck out of me. Time passed, and of course, when I was a little girl, I had a big crush on Johan. You know, there's this guy, and he had a bike. Even when he was 16, I thought, he had one of those. He was always a biker at heart, I think. And he used to drive to school with his bike, and then as he got older, he got bigger bikes and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I had a crush on him, so whenever I would see him, I would be all goo-goo gaga over him and whatnot, and he didn't even see me. Like, who the hell is this kid, and why is this snot-nose in my house again, okay? So over a period of time, obviously, I grew up, and they never moved away, I never moved away, so I literally grew up in front of him. So there was a stage where all of a sudden the snot-nosed girl that he knew turned into a teenager, which didn't look quite so horrible anymore, so he became a little bit more interested in me, but at that point in time, the age difference kind of made it, you know, like the younger you are, the more difficult it is to have a relationship with somebody that's 6 years older than you because they're so much more mature. And stuff like that. So, and I don't think my mom would not allow me to go out with somebody that old. If I dated a boy, he had to be kind of in the same age range as me. Okay, so we kind of, another couple of years passed by, and he, you know, then at that point in time, I mean, he did like me, you know, and he would actually give me the time of day and chat with me and stuff like that. But then when I got to the age where it would be, the age difference wasn't quite as big anymore and we'd be able to date, okay, then it's happened. I mean, I had a boyfriend, and then he couldn't date me, but we always we became friends. The older he got and the older I got, you know, we became friends and we would visit with each other, but I had a boyfriend at that time. Then when I broke up with my boyfriend, then he had a girlfriend. And then, you know, we were always kind of, we never seemed to have, be in the same place at the same time kind of thing. And then at some point he broke up with his girlfriend, and then I had a boyfriend, and it was really nice because we were friends and we would cry on each other's shoulders. If my boyfriend broke up with me, I'd cry on his shoulder, but he had a girlfriend. If his girlfriend broke up with him or he broke up with her, then I would have a boyfriend, he would cry on my shoulder kind of thing, right? So we became really close friends. Always, half a chance we got, we would visit together and stuff like that. Well, of course, at some point in time, it did happen. He didn't have a girlfriend, I didn't have a boyfriend. So we spent more time together, and then, of course, we started dating. We dated for a couple of years. When I think we went steady for a year, just over, I have to just ask him again, right? Over a year. I think it was about 16 months or something, a year and a half, something like that, we dated. He ended up going to the army, which at that point in time in South Africa was you had to do 2-year service. No matter whether you were planning on joining them after school, if you didn't study, and before you started working, whatever, you had to join the army for 2 years. So, of course, that's not very good for a relationship, and I was still very young, you know, and I mean, he got really depressed in the army too, because he's a brainy person, and for him to sit there for 2 years and do nothing, it's not good for a person with my husband's IQ to sit and listen to somebody tell you to jump up and down and, you know, wash a toilet with a toothbrush and stuff like that. He don't go very well with stuff like that, so he wasn't in a good shape, and I was in my second last year of school, and I just couldn't cope with this depressed boyfriend of mine, so I ended up breaking up with Johan. Although I still loved him very much, I didn't break up with him because I couldn't cope with him or I didn't love him anymore. I still loved him, but I just, the emotions was too much for me to cope with school and with my mom and with, you know, everything that was going on in my life at that point. So finally, he went his way. I met another guy. I started dating. I finished school. We saw each other every so often, but we weren't very close anymore. And anyway, so I moved on, and I finished school, and I started working for the government with a friend of mine. Moved into an apartment and blah blah blah. And then at some point, you know, I went on with my life, dated or whatever. He went on with his life, dated, blah blah blah. And at some point, I don't know why, but I called him. I think I just really missed a friend. I didn't have a boyfriend at that time, and I wasn't planning on dating. I kind of grew up, I had a rule, because the first guy that I dated hurt me so badly that he cheated on me, and I took him back and he cheated on me again. So I decided, I made a rule for my life. I will never date the same guy twice. And if anybody cheats on me, doesn't matter how much I love them, they're out the door and I will never take them back. Okay, that was a rule that I lived by. So there was my rule saying that I'll never date the same guy twice. So I ended up meeting with Johan again, meeting up with Johan, and excuse me. So yeah, I ended up meeting up with Johan again. We became friends, and we kind of like, he was looking for me for a very long time, wanting me back, but didn't know how to get me or where to find me or anything like that, right? So he would still go and visit my mom, which I didn't know. I only found out about that afterwards. And, you know, go for a drink and chat with my mom, visit with my mom, find out how I am and where I am and what I'm doing and stuff like that, which I didn't know about that part. Okay. So then when we met up again, we got really close, and we were really close friends, and we kind of dated in the sense that we would go out together, we would make out and stuff like that. But, you know, I made it very clear to him that I don't date the same guy twice. You only get one chance with me, and then it's over. And he was like, he wants to marry me, and I don't want to even date him. At that point in time, he was looking for a wife, and he was telling all his friends that I was the one girl for him, and he loved me, and he wanted to marry me, of course. And here he is thinking he's going to get me back and you know, marry me, and I didn't even want to date him, right? So anyway, so we, you know, time crept by and blah, blah, blah. And then there was a little complication, you know, in his life, and actually in my life too. He had this girlfriend, this ex-girlfriend. She was also his first love, and she was a psychopath, okay? So let me just see how much time I have, because, okay, I'm at 11 minutes, so I can quickly throw the story out there. So anyway, this girl cheated on Johan. She treated him like crap when she dated him. They fought, and then they broke up, and then they were back together, and then but she just screwed him over every chance she got. She was a complete psychopath. Anyway, so she would always do this thing with him where she never wanted to date him, really. She just wanted to use him in between boyfriends kind of thing. And then she would, but she didn't want him to date anybody either. She was unhappy when he was happy. So every time he had a girlfriend, she would show up in the back in the picture and try and get him back and ruin his relationship and stuff like that. And then if it did happen, or if he broke up with that girl, then she would be gone again, moving on to the next guy. So she was just an absolute bitch. So anyway, when Johan and I were together at that point in time, not dating officially, of course she shows up again. Because I think what she did was literally follow his life, because she knew all his friends, you know, and they were kind of a big crowd, and they were dispersed all over the place and dated different people and blah, blah, blah. But she kept track on what was going on in his life all the time. So finally, she became a real big pain in the butt for him, and he was like, oh my God, I can't get rid of her, and she's always calling me at work, and she would basically stalk him, right? And okay, so the sun is getting in my face right now. I wonder if you guys can still see me. I'm just going to move over into the shade again, continue my story. Okay, so anyway, he said to me, what can I do? What can we do to get rid of this woman? Because I don't know. I've told her I don't want anything to do with her. I don't know how many times. She keeps on showing up. She keeps on phoning me. She keeps on always getting my phone number, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Anyway, so I said to him, well, why don't you just tell her you're getting married or something? And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, how about, you know, let's do a party, and then you invite her to this party. I will borrow my sister-in-law's engagement ring, and then we'll, you know, I'll show up later on, like you invite her in and everything, and we'll play a trick on her. You invite her in, I will come show up later with my, you know, and I'll give you the engagement ring, and then right in the middle of everything, you can say, okay, you're getting engaged to me. Maybe that will kind of get rid of her. And then he thought over the story and blah, blah, blah. He said, I'd much rather prefer it if we could really get engaged. How about we really get engaged? And I looked at him and I said, I think I can do that. And it's like, he's like, okay, you won't date me, but you'll marry me. I said, yeah, I'll marry you. Okay, so we planned this whole party and everything. But this time we were going to really get engaged, okay? But somehow, I'm not sure how, well, actually I know how, but I don't want to be gossiping about people. It came out, and she knew that he was getting really for real engaged or whatever. So of course she contacted him. She said, I'm not coming to your engagement party. I know you're getting engaged. I found out about it, blah, blah, blah. You know, she's like this spy. So finally, that's what happened. We ended up getting engaged, and we got married. And I was 20 at the time that we got married. And Johan and I have now been married for, this coming August is 23 years. So I think we did okay. If you could make it 23, I guess you can keep going, right? That doesn't mean we didn't have our ups and downs. If you guys want me to talk about ups and downs in marriages, then I can do that too. That's perfectly fine. But we're doing really well. I love my husband. He's my best friend. I'm his best friend. And that's basically how it was. That was my story. Although there's many facets of it, and I can tell you all kinds of other stories if you're interested. I'm just going to throw this video out as a feel it out first and see if you guys are interested in it. If you are, let me know, and I will keep on telling you all kinds of funny things about my life, because I've had a very interesting life. If not, if I don't get good views on this one, then I'll just keep it at that. But if there's tidbits that you guys want to know that doesn't have anything to do with fitness or makeup or whatnot, I'll be putting it under this playlist. So there's my story about how Johan and I got married and how we met and got married, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.